Today is Friday. Happy Friday. Actually, it's not. I'm recording this on another day, but you are listening to this on a Friday. And so I thought, what better way to start this Friday than by explaining to you or sharing with you what I do every Friday morning to set my next week up for success. I've been talking a little bit more about money lately, which I'm loving all of your guys' feedback. I've gotten your DMs, your Voxers, your text messages. Heck, even some of you have just given me a phone call and been like, I loved this episode. So I appreciate each and every one of you that have shared your thoughts with me. It really inspires me to keep talking about this subject that people don't really like to talk about. Hell, I didn't even like to talk about. Money used to creep me out. I thought money was icky and I would do anything and everything to avoid it, but sure loved to spend it. I am a spender through and through. One of the things I've been working on is changing that story into a savings story, an investing story, looking at my financial future story. And so I wanted to share with you some actual tangible steps that you can do today to start setting yourself up for success. Because when we bring awareness, when we bring attention to the things that we are avoiding, we bring that darkness to the light. What's scary is no longer scary. And the only way to go to the other side is to go through the discomfort. So think of yourself as like you're on one side of a forest and your financial freedom is on the other side of the forest. And you're like, God, I know it's dark and scary in there and I don't want to go. And like, you know that if you just get through that dark, scary forest, the uncomfortable part, you'll get to the other side and there'll be rainbows and butterflies and I don't know, I'd say glitter, but I hate glitter. But there's like, I don't know, you think of me Lucky Charms, there's pot of gold on the other side and there's ease and there's joy and there's abundance, but you have to work through all of your negative thoughts surrounding your money story, and it starts today. So a few simple things that I have done in my past and still continue to do is I budget. This sounds so remedial, so easy, but to me, I thought that budgeting was simply just being able to pay my bills at the end of the month. And if I had some extra, woohoo, I went shopping. Yes, I did. And I really did not know to what extent I spent money. I had no idea. If you would have told me how much money I spent in food last month, or how much I spent in clothes, or gas station visits, or fast food, or whatever it is for you in your life. I know that there's some people who spend a lot on fast food. Me, I was an Amazon/online shopper. I would get a package like every day. It was to the point where there was a meme out there at one point, and I laughed because it was so true for me. It said, I have to hide my packages in the trunk so that my husband doesn't see them. And I did. I would literally sneak stuff into my house because I don't even know if you want to call it a shopping addiction, but it kind of was. Anytime I had money, I felt like I had to spend it. I had to get rid of it. I had to buy things. I deserve these things, right? I worked hard for this. But the truth is I was placing my self-worth, my value in the products that I was buying. And there was all just quick fixes. Like I would buy diet pills and I'd buy Red Bulls and I'd buy tons and tons of clothes just because they were on sale. Well, you know what? Just because they're on sale doesn't mean that you're not spending any less money. You're still shopping. You're still spending that money. Doesn't matter if it's $20 or $200, you're still spending that money. And if it doesn't fit into your budget or your future goals, then you need to have some self-discipline and put that money somewhere where it's going to work for you and for your future, so that one day it comes by and you actually need that $200 or that $2,000 or that $20,000. It's there for you to use, and you don't sit there and go, well, shit, I really wish that I didn't eat McDonald's every day for the last 2 months, or I really wish that I didn't go on that shopping spree, or I really wish that I wouldn't have spent that. It's that regret. And so that's what one thing that I want to say. Anytime you're making a purchase, sleep on it. Sleep on it. And if this is really hard for you to do, I'm challenging you. If you want to go shopping, if like you're out doing something and you're like, I really need this, ask yourself, do I really need it or do I really want it? And is it coming from a place of like justifying, or do you really need it? Is it in your budget to reward yourself? And so one thing that I did to kind of challenge my mindset on this, because I would always just be like, yes, I deserve it. Yes, I need it right now. I have to have the best pair of jeans. I have to have the fanciest boots. Nope, you don't. Nobody gives a shit except for you, maybe. Unless that is a value in your life. Unless, like dressing nice and, having the best of the best every single time, that may be a value of yours, but just make sure that it fits in your budget. So what I would do is, if I would go shopping and I'd say, I need it, I want it. I'd have my little 2-year-old fit. I'd say, okay, great. If I still need it 30 days from now, I will allow myself to go back and buy it. No ifs, ands, or buts, no regrets, no nothing. And I would literally give myself 30 days, not 3 days, 1 month. If I was still thinking about this item a month from now, then it was meant to be. And it was just delaying that gratification. I feel like we live in such a society of, I need this now, instant gratification, more. And how we rewire that is by challenging those thoughts. So ask yourself, do I need this now? Do I? Ultimately, really, do you need this right now to survive? Probably not. Can this wait? Yes. And if you can wait 30 days for it, buy it then. What's the big deal? What's the rush? If there's no timeline on it, if you're just spending money because you want to feel better, you're looking for a quick fix or a pick-me-up, that's what I used to do. If I had a really shitty day, I'd go shopping afterwards. I'd buy a bottle of wine, I'd sit on my couch, and I would go shopping. And then I wouldn't know what the hell I bought. I would just have packages show up at the door, and there would be times where I'm like, my husband would say, what did you order? And I'm like, fuck, I don't even know what I ordered. Like, are you kidding me? There's more stuff. And then I get it, and I'd be like, I don't even remember ordering this. Like, you guys, that's terrible. That is terrible. And so I started to challenge my beliefs. And the first thing that I did was budget. And so if I wanted a shopping spree or spending, I would set aside a specific amount of money each month for me to spend however I wanted, however I saw fit. No ifs, ands, or buts. It was an entirely separate account from my joint account, so my husband didn't even say anything about it either. So what we do is we actually have, I'll tell you about our personal account. I won't get into the business side of things because that can get a little more complicated. So as far as personal accounts go, I have a personal checking account. Me and my husband have a joint checking account together, and then my husband has a personal checking account. And so each time we get paid, we have this concept of pay yourself first. And what that means is every paycheck, we set aside money into our personal accounts for our own personal spending. Stuff that we can do without having to ask for the other person's permission. So you could set aside $20 a paycheck. You can set aside $200 or $2,000. You just have to figure out how much money you can set aside for your spending that will fit into your budget and still be able to reach the financial goals that you have for yourself. And so this will limit the quote fun money that you have accessible to you, because when that money in that account is gone, it's gone. You can't transfer any more money. You have to wait until you get another paycheck. And then you will have more quote unquote fun money to do whatever the hell you want with. So that's one thing. Next thing, every Friday morning, I spend anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes budgeting for the upcoming week, sometimes the upcoming month if we have a large expense. So there's a couple of large expenses that we have coming up as far as like home remodel and renovating for like the office and our home. Sorry, I'm just getting over this cold and it's tail end of it. So if there's big purchases, I try to factor that into my weekly budget too, so that I'm setting aside money for those big items. But what I'll do is every Friday, I look at my budget and say, what do we need for groceries? What do we need for family? What do we need for daycare? What do we need for gas? What do we need for bills, or IBARs is what I like to call them, which stands for Invoices for Blessings Already Received. I got this concept from the book Money, A Love Story by Kate Northrop. Look it up. You'll love it. You'll love her whole energy behind money. I love it. And I'm totally diving more into this, and we'll teach more on this later. So anyways, I sit down and I look at my money. And the first time I did this, it took a few hours, guys, because you need to know where all of your debts are, where all of your savings is, how much you owe on your house, how much you owe on your car, if you have any student loans, credit cards, anything. If you owe people money, and then look like beyond that, like what do you have for a cell phone bill? What do you need for gas? What do you need for groceries? If you have kids, they grow out of shit like every other freaking month, it seems like. So do you have a budget for clothing? This was an entirely new concept to me when I had kids, because I'm like, oh man, now I have to budget in a clothing part of my budget, because I would need to buy the kids clothes and it wasn't in my budget. And so I would have to pull from my personal money to buy the kids clothes, which, whatever, it is what it is. They need clothes. And so I just had to go without my fun money for that month. And that's fine. But I just had to budget in for that going forward. And so every Friday, sit down and look at your money, see how much money you physically have in your account, and see how much debts you have all around. I mean, I'm talking everything. And see what's coming up for the next week. What do you need to budget for? That way you can have more money at the end of the month than month. You always hear these people say, oh, there's more month than money. Look at your purchases and see where your money is going. How can you be more intentional with your money? And so if you have no idea where your money is going, I want to challenge you to sit down, pull up the last 3 to 6 months of all of your statements. I'm talking everything. All of your bank statements, all of your credit card statements, your house, your everything. Look at everything and write it all down line by line by line, and then bucket things, put them into categories, put them into buckets so that you know where your money is going. And if you're like me, you're going to look at this and you're going to go, holy smokes, I spent a whole lot of money on online shopping. I really wish that I would have put that money somewhere else that made me feel better, made me feel good, or helped our financial future, or helped us reach these goals that we're going for. Maybe you're saving for a vacation and you're like, I have no money. We have no money. Okay. If you ate fast food like 3 days a week for an entire year or 6 months or whatever that looks like for you, you can afford to travel. It's just being intentional with where your money is going. And when we spend unintentionally, that's where we get to the end of the month and we're like, oh, I have no money, or I'm sick of having no money. I live paycheck to paycheck. You don't have to. So if you're really uncomfortable around money or really uncomfortable around budgeting, I'm also going to challenge you to pick up a budgeting book, get a budgeting app, start learning more about money. Ask questions, guys. There's tons and tons of YouTube videos out there that will help you figure out how you can be more intentional, how you can start a savings, how you can, keep a checking ledger or an account ledger. There's tons of things out here. You just have to get in the habit of continuous learning. And the only way that this is going to happen is if you do it. I can sit here and talk out my ass about the things that you should do, but until you create the time and space to sit down and actually do it, it's all worthless. Like, you could be listening to this and be like, oh, great, those are some great tips, and then boom, never do them. It's up to you to take action, because where you focus your time and energy, that thing will grow. If you focus time and energy on money, your money will grow. You will feel more confident and more comfortable in your money and ability to make decisions that you won't regret later on. And then if something big comes up, you'll be able to have money for it, right? And if you're sitting there and you're looking and you're like, oh man, things are so tight, there is just no way that I can get ahead. There's a ton of ways that you can create more money in your life or cut back on expenses that you currently have that maybe you don't need. Like, I talk about this with car loans and like people have like ATVs and campers and golf carts and like all of these shit that they have loans for. Why? If you can't pay your bills, if you can't set aside money for a savings or like to get a big purchase later on. Like if you're really, really struggling, you probably shouldn't be taking out loans for more toys. I know this from experience, guys. Like I've had to sell shit before because I like took a look at like a deeper issue and I was like, wow, we can barely afford to do this, and this. Maybe we should get rid of this and that would create some wiggle room. Yeah, it took a lot of freaking pride to sell some of those things, or, it took a big punch to the gut, but you have to do what's right for you. And as soon as I did it, yes, I cried. But afterwards I was like, I finally feel like I can breathe. Like I just let some pressure off myself. Because what was I doing? I was trying to impress the Joneses because I had this fancy thing that I owed a shit ton of money on. Sweet. That's not a way to live. Like, at the end of the day, none of this stuff is going to come with us, right? None of this stuff is going to come with us. So why are we buying things just to put pressure on ourselves? I would much rather have a lifestyle that I can live a little more relaxed, knowing that I'm set up and that my kids are going to be set up and that I can afford to travel. Or if something happened to me, I can afford to take a few days off. I hope this is making sense. And I know everybody's money story is different. This is just my personal experience, okay? So just go out there, get a handle on what it is that you're looking at first. Figure out where your money is going each and every month, whether it's like personal expenses or fun expenses or food. I think some of the categories would be like housing, debts, which is like car payments and utilities and food and kids' clothes and charities if you do donate. A good template to go off of. I know Google Excel has like a budgeting Excel sheet for free, so it's nothing that you have to buy. And then also if you Google Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University or Dave Ramsey budgeting sheet, budgeting tool, every dollar, or Dave Ramsey every dollar, any of those things, and look at the images on Google, there will be a sheet that pops up that will literally tell you how to go through your budget step by step by step. And then just make that a habit. Like every Friday, just get up and like look at your budget and just make it a part of your life. And you'll feel a lot more confident in your ability to make good purchases for you and your family and set aside money so that you can kind of relieve some of that pressure on yourself. That's all I have for you guys today. That's what I do every Friday. It has become part of who I am. It's a continuous journey, right? So I'm still healing my money story. There is so many sides to a money story. It's an energy. It's in everything. Money is in everything. That energy is in everything we do. And so there's like layer upon layer upon layer of my own personal money story that I'm working through, still working through, will continue to work through. I don't think it's ever, quote unquote solved. So just know that like I'm not an expert. I'm just a human. I'm telling you what works for me in hopes that it works for you. I know it's worked for hundreds of people. You may be a little bit different. I'm just giving you permission to go out there and see what works for you. Explore the options, see what feels good, and just take that first step. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it can be scary, but just think of it. It's those mental push-ups, right? That first one is just awful. But with time, patience, and practice, showing up each and every day, those muscles continue to grow. Your money story will continue to heal, and your bank account will continue to grow. And how good would that feel? That'd feel pretty amazing, I think. All right, guys. That is all I have for you today. If you have questions, if you if you have questions, send this over to support@sashadavis.com and I will get to your questions, or you can DM me on Instagram. And if you resonated with any part of this podcast, I please encourage you to share this with a friend, share this on social media, send me a message, let me know what you think, tag me, sasha.davis. I love to hear from you guys. And if you haven't already, I want to ask you to leave a 5-star review sharing what you loved about this episode or what you love about this podcast in general, because your reviews help me spread the word even more. I do this podcast for free. I won't ever charge for it. There won't ever be paid advertising on this. All of this is just me showing up, being a human, sharing the knowledge that I have in hopes that it helps you. And the only way that I can spread this is with your guys' help. So please, please, please leave those reviews, share this on social media, and I hope you guys have a kick-ass weekend. Feel free to message me or ask me any questions. I am here to help. All right, catch you guys next time.